Good Monday evening to all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey guys, it is Ryan and Richard from the Monday Night Pioneer Family Show. Geez, I don't know, but happy Monday, Ricky. Happy Monday to you. I think we're coming up to our inaugural. I think we're coming up to inaugural 5 years in the doing of this. Inaugural 5 years. We're coming up to it.
Very good. Yes, and we've had our ups and downs. We've had some arguments, and but that's part of the show. You know,
Well,
I think it's very, very good. We're all enjoying each other, and that's it. And remember, we are all assholes.
no, that's one
You
thing
know
that
what I
we
mean? Hate to say, hate to say
one
that
thing we definitely are.
we are all of us,
So
right?
yeah, for sure, 100%. What you tell me a pigeon man that's not an asshole? You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. You know,
Every pigeon man is has a tendency to be an asshole, but hey, everyone in life is an asshole. We all have our assholic moments. But you know what?
if you're not an asshole, you can't survive in this world. You know that.
You're gonna get backed up, and that's
That's
for
it.
sure.
Yeah.
I will say to our audience tonight, reminder, this show works best when you participate. So that means please don't be shy and get out there and ask pigeon questions, pigeon related questions. If we get off topic, that's okay. You can ask those questions as well. I did want to, before we get into the show, I think tonight we might do a little bit, might talk a little bit of the one-loft race. I had some ideas I was thinking. I've had some people ask me. But before we get into any of that, I want to remind everyone for the Monarch Nays auction, it will be closing on the 1st. That is of January. These 5 super lots are available. The old family Jansons, or as they say here in Belgium, Jansons. These are pigeons. I've had people ask questions. Well, are they going to be good in the sprints? These pigeons are going to do it from 100 kilometers right out to 5, 6, 700 kilometers. These pigeons can do it. This is the old line. But what is so great about this line of pigeons, and I might say that this might be the only line this year that we're selling is a true pure line. Okay, and if you go watch the loft tour, you watch everything that Monic put together. She put a whole ton of video information out there, myself, Monic, and we give you the information. So this is like one of those pigeons that you try, you bring it in and you cross it, and you're going to probably get a super explosion if you cross it with your top birds. And that's what you definitely, every time you bring in a bird, you always should try and pair it to your best. On that note, I will bring us back up, Ricky, and I will
I
see
watched the I
who's on.
watched your I watched your tour um, with Monic there. It really right from start to finish. It was a learning experience right from start to finish. It was about an hour and 24 minutes. What a great tour.
Yeah, tour was definitely good, definitely interesting. A lot of stuff that you sort of I didn't know. Like you know, it is kind of interesting just to see how how those people were in that day, those Jansen people, and how they lived and how they thought and how I say here in this country, pigeon racing is very, very, very secretive, and I mean very, very secretive. But watch the tour and you guys will find out. Let me see who is on. That's annoying me, so I'm going to take that off. I can't square it up because my fingers are too big. But let's get to the comments and see who's on here. Oh, we got people that were on. Lots of comments, Ricky. So I'm going to get to the comments first. And again, we did want to talk about our Pioneer one-loft race coming for another inaugural season. But before we get to that, Mike Green from Idaho, Chicago says, good evening. So, hello, Mike Green. Michael Peevler from Kansas, Missouri says hello. Michael Peevler says Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year. Mike Green says Happy New Year's. Dave Crozier's in the house. Nice to see you, Dave. Dave is from the heartbeat of Ontario. Where is it again? Janetville,
Jen?
the heartbeat. We got David Tracy says, good evening, everyone. Shane Dennis says, good evening as well. I'm just trying to get to these comments here quickly. Milton from Hawaii says, hey, Ryan and Ricky. We've also got from Australia, the one and only Jeff Henderson, also known as J-Rod. He's in the middle of the South Pacific on a cruise for New Year's. He's going to be enjoying that. Watch the red elves. If you get to those little Lachutes, they will put you onto the ground. Ricky in his red shorts. I don't think he's got his red shorts on today. Frank Leopold says Happy New Year's and good luck to everyone in 2025. My man from Hawaii says, hello, guys. Sherry Tracy says, Dave is a nice guy, not an asshole. Well, if he's in a pigeon club, I'm sure David can be an asshole from time to time. That's okay, though. That doesn't mean he's a bad guy. Will says, happy holidays, you guys. Mike Green said, I enjoyed the interview with Monic. Elliot Gomez says, good evening, Ryan and Ricky. Frank Icorn says, good morning. Well, Frank, I don't know where you are, but where we are, it's evening time. And JD Teal, he wraps it up and he says, hello. Wow, we got a lot of people on. So tonight we should get a lot of good conversation going here in the wonderful world of pigeons. Mike Vanderiak just comes on and says, happy holidays. So I've had some people, Ricky, again, asking me about the one-loft race and what are we going to be doing and what's the price is going to be and what are the, the perch fees and all that stuff. And, I normally like to talk other pigeon stuff, but I did say to the gentleman tonight, if he is watching, I think his name's Isaac. He's breeding birds for two groups of people, and he wants to sort of have a little idea of what we're going to do. And people have had some time to think about what we sort of were thinking about the other day. And Dave Crozier says, I enjoyed all the talk about the 11 flights. Hey, you know what? Before we get into the one-loft racing, the hell with it. Let's go down this road. What do people think of 11 flights? I know I've heard, I haven't seen lots of pigeons that throw it. Ricky, do you think an 11 flight pigeon is an advantage?
I'm going to look at it two ways. I'm going to think 11 flights gives that bird a little more air, a little more push. Okay. But then I have to think, is that 11 flights actually making it harder on the bird to retract its wing for the next pull? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can
Like,
see what you're saying. Is there too much flight now? It's like adding a weight to a pigeon.
it's like a weight. That's right. So when the bird strokes, he's got the that flight. It's a little more, I think, a little more effort on the muscle to push that air. Could that hinder the bird, or is it like going swimming? If you swim and you paddle in bare feet, you don't move as fast as someone that has those. What do you call those things you put on your feet there? Paddles or whatever they call. What do they call those things? You know those rubber things you can put on your feet. They're about that wide, and you once you paddle, like you kind of go further, like you go
Mm.
quicker. Yeah,
Yeah,
what do
and
they call
then I
flippers?
yeah, yeah, that's right, flippers. I also thought about if a pigeon has 11 flights on one wing and 10 flights on another, that's got to be slightly off balance. I mean, maybe not. A little bit. It's off balance or
Who are
not
we?
really?
So if that's the case, then what do you do? Do you pull the 11th on the other wing to make them even?
No, because he just grows it in.
That's it.
Now, Dave Crozier says, I had my own thing with 11 flights. Well, Dave, let me know what you know. Len Cogli, Cogli, Cog, Cogligate says, I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Happy New Year's. Cheers from down under. Again, more people from Australia. We love our Australian people. And I also want to talk about the next Pigeon Boss tour. I've got more people interested from Australia that want to come, thanks to Jeff Henderson and uh,
Heather.
Heather and Stephen Collins. We'll get into that as well. Mike Vaniak says, I was picking over my birds for the show this weekend, and I found a young hen with 11 flights on one side. I wonder how many people have it and they don't notice it. I know it's funny when you know one has it and you open the wing, you can sort of instantly see, and I see it not at the end. I see it right at the beginning. The flights seem to be like boom, 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 boom. Like it's a different set of stairs. Do you know what I'm saying? So I
Mhm.
wonder how many people have them. I know I don't. Maybe I don't look hard enough, but geez, I how many birds have you raised with 11 flights, Ricky?
I've only raised a couple,
Yeah, it's
not
something that
that many. No.
something that you don't see very, very often. But apparently, in the last show or two, we've had a few people that have them. I have heard. Wait. I've had heard my options on. Some people think it's good, and some people eliminate them. Dave Crozier, he comes back with some common sense, and I like this one. Dave Crozier says, "No weight to feathers."
No weight to feathers. Okay, I understand no weight, but we're talking about pushing air, muscle power to push air.
You have to
Feathers,
you have to
yeah.
think what the wing does on a pigeon, right? That stroke, it can get the pigeon to fly with no wind. Those feathers on that pigeon, the flight feathers, it has to be the flight feathers, right? The wing can get that pigeon to generate uh, 30 to 45 miles an hour of speed. So those little flights, we say, well, there's no weight to that feather. There is weight to one feather because it takes, I would say, on that pigeon, 20 flights or 25 flights maybe to get that bird to move at that speed. So you
Oh,
have to
20,
think of
20 flight feathers, 10 on
well,
each wing.
10 on each wing, but then there's the back flight, which I don't know, let's give them
Those
an extra
yeah.
secondaries. I'm sure there's a purpose to them. It was another fun thing, and I'm going to get to more comments. Monic was talking about the locking of the flights, and her flights make it's a silky sound when she moves the flights together. And I was talking to Lars, and when a flight overlaps a flight, you
Hmm.
know how they overlap.
Yeah.
Take your finger on each side of the on one flight and another flight. Let's say the third, the fourth, the fifth flights. Grab them and pull, and they overlap each other, and you'll see just before they separate, they pull each other. They pull. They don't come apart, and that's the flights locking in together. Super birds with super feather, the feathers all lock in good. They have to lock in good, and this is what she
That's
was showing. But you can actually see it if you pull it, and I will do a video with Lars because you need someone to hold it and show you. But we'll show that. We got some more comments here coming in. Dad has been flying. So JD Teal says, obviously, his dad has been flying birds for 50 years, and I've been around them for 38 years. And I have never not, him or his dad raised a bird with 11 flights. I don't want one with 11 flights. I don't want one with 11 flights. Now, JD, I know you're a smart guy, but you don't want one. How do you know? You could send a bird off to a one-loft race and it come back and it won the big thing, or who knows, and it's got 11 flights. I'm saying uh, it's like saying a red, or it's like saying a grizzle, or it's like I don't think, or a frill, or odd eyes on each side. I don't think it's a life or death situation. I don't think
Uh,
you're gonna see it that often. But this lady's pigeons, it's a trait that they have in them, and you see it. She has 10 flighters that were paired together that were throwing 11 flights, and she had 11 flights together that were throwing 11 flights.
well, the way I look at it is, who are we compared to a person like Monica? Hopefully, I say her name right. She was born. Really, the Jansen family were almost like uncles to her. Her
Yeah,
dad was friends with them. Um, the other fella there, what was his name, Mister
Mr. Timmers. Yeah, Mr. Timmers.
Timmers, was very knowledgeable person, and she spoke fairly highly of the 11 flights. So I know she knows a lot more than I'll ever know. So
Well,
uh, she wasn't saying that that was she felt fairly proud of that.
she said that again. Her pigeons came from the original, the father of Jansen. So of the Jansen brothers, and he in his breeding, his best pigeons always had 11 flights. It was in their family, and Mr. Timmers was the same for that. Now, and her birds continued this. She continues this, and it's so funny, but her pigeons are so alike. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. Let's get to the story. Comments. Chris Marshman says, "Happy New Year to everyone." Happy New Year, Chris. Dave Crozier says, "I have a great story." Well, make sure you tell it, Dave, and write it so I can read it. Don't use those big, what do we call those words from Janetville? Those big $64 words. Um, Mike Green says, "I think if they're born with it, they're used to it." And I think Mike's right. I think if you're born with it, you're going to be used to it. I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's. I don't think it's a big deal. Some Jeff Henderson says some breeds. This is a good sign for stock as long as everything is okay. Well, the one thing with her birds, I'll tell you, she will be on the Pigeon Boss tour next year because I think she's something very special to see, and I think almost everybody in uh, in the wonderful world of pigeons has said in their lifetime they've had a Jansen. That's the number one phrase used at a pigeon club. Len says the only thing that is different on a pigeon is the heart. Is a bigger heart. The only thing that is different on a pigeon is a bigger heart. Okay. Josh Chibley says a good loft manager would have data on if 11 feathers birds are faster, better than a 10 flight bird, but maybe the data would be, yeah. I always said, and Dean Pallett always made me laugh. He said, "Do you have sprint pigeons?" And then you would say, "Yeah." And then he'd say, "Well, do you have long distance pigeons?" And you would say, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, do you have both families? Like you didn't cross them or nothing?" "No." He says, "Well, could you tell me when they go out for a loft fly, do you loft fly them together?" And I'd say, "Yeah." "Do they loft fly? Are the sprint pigeons ahead of the long distance pigeons in the loft fly?" I don't think pigeons fly. It's not faster. I think you know what I'm saying, right, Ricky? I don't think you're going to see an 11 flight pigeon fly faster.
Around the loft.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think you'll be
Well,
able to see it.
yeah. Yeah, I know what you're
I mean,
saying.
you'd have to have like 30 11 flight pigeons that you're training against 30 10 flight pigeons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then maybe you would see it. That would be an interesting test.
Well, why is it the long end pigeons, the long distance pigeons, are like Emil Denny's has them? He stops them what at 200 miles as young birds,
Yeah.
and then he takes them to as 2 year olds. He may take them or yearlings up to maybe 350 miles
I
and
think it
stops them right there. And uh,
I think that
yeah, it's
the distance pigeons, it's just more age and maturity. And I think they're a slower maturing pigeon. And I think the long distance pigeons happened when guys that flew long distance, they said, I need a pigeon that's 3 years old to do these long distances. So they gave the younger birds time, and it changed the development of them. I think the start speeds are still the same, but it's just they're just developed different. Mike Vanderyak says he thinks it's like a frill or feathers on the feet. It's just they have it or they don't. I think that can be true too. Maddie says, "Hey guys, I have a few hammers here. I have a few Hermans here with 11 flights and some with only 11 flights on one wing. These come down off a hen that was imported from the UK. The guy's name was Ernie. She's gonna be a super breeding hen." Okay, so Maddie has a few with 11 flights, and he's saying for him it's a good sign. Again, some people say if a pigeon has a frill, it's a breeder. Some people say slates are only for breeding. These are all interesting things. But Maddie here, he's had some luck with the 11 flight pigeons. Zach says hello. Michael Peevler says, "Look, lock like a fan in your hand when you're fanning yourself." Okay, I think he's talking about a fan, maybe. Josh Tribley says, "I always wonder if birds that have feathered feet are slower as well." That's an interesting thing. But have you ever noticed when pigeons are flying, you sort of normally never see their feet. The way they
that's
can
right.
tuck them up and hook them into the tail there, quite
Yeah.
interesting. And it's so funny when you see a pigeon come home with broken feet. You think just how close he got because you don't see their feet when they're flying.
Well, that's right. How close he got. I know Don Gliona, he flew in the Far North Club over here, and then I think he moved on to Oshawa, and then after a while he passed away. But he had a pigeon come home from a race one time, and that's when we had the rubber counter marks. We had to take them off, and the bird was there to win. And it came through the trap and it hit the floor and it was rolling around on the floor like it couldn't stand up. He looked, he said, "What's wrong with this?"
Yeah.
Picked it up, it lost both its legs, hit a wire or something, lost both the legs, and still made it in good time and came through the trap, just kind of, you know what I mean, come through. It's amazing, like you say, their legs are tucked up and yet they'll still hit a wire.
Yeah. Okay, so JD Teal, he says this: every pigeon has 10 flights. That's the way they were made, not supposed to be 11. Is it, in my opinion, 11 flights are caused from inbreeding too tightly and abnormally? Um, well, I'm going to say something. If this woman has been breeding the way she is, when you put, she's a master of inbreeding. She's a master. She is a master because the quality of those pigeons are second to none. I've seen people inbreed. I can tell you when birds are inbred. These are inbred. but they don't have that inbred feel. They don't have that mushy, washy, shitty, washed out eye. No, they don't have that. These are the right way. And there's a secret that she learned from Mr. Timmers on how to inbreed fathers to daughters and mothers to sons. And I know the secret. She told me, and she would not say it on the camera.
Hmm.
And I don't know if I should say it.
That's a
It's
secret.
she told me because after 20 hours of being there and talking and having dinner and I asked her and I said, "Come on, what's the secret?" And there is a secret to pairing the mothers to the sons and the fathers to the daughters. You can do it, but you have to do it a certain way. Okay.
Well, I know she's got something good uh, and what she's learned right from a child growing up with real pigeon pros. I believe the last I heard, she already had 8,000 views on her tour. I don't know what it's up to now, but that's
She's over
incredible.
Yeah, she's over 12,000 views. And
Wow.
again, she's going into the final race in Thailand Masters. Her pigeon is 50% hers and 50% Falco Evans, but it's running right now at fifth ace pigeon over 4 races. So that's 5,000, 6,000 pigeons started that race. Hey guys, she's there now. We're not at the finals, but I think she'll be pretty good coming into the finals. Dave Crozier, I don't know what you're asking me. Why do people Darin? I don't know. Why, Mike? Or why, Dave?
Darren.
Yeah, why do people Darren?
Darin.
Yeah, Darren. Why
Darren.
do people Darren? Why do people why? I don't know what Dave's asking. Okay. Mike Green says she's done very well with the birds with 11 flights. Yes, she has. Alma Canuck. I haven't seen Alma Canuck in a while. We still got the fire pit, Ricky. You know the fire pit.
Yeah, we still have her going good.
Built by Alma Canuck. We can't say thank you again for that. I haven't seen you in such a long time, but you're always welcome at the Pioneer Club, Alma Canuck. I have a feeling, and this is what Alma says, so I'm going to get this in here. I have a feeling that overall wing size of an 11 flight pigeon is the same as 10 flight pigeon in the overall wing size. That's interesting. I have to put them both together. And I
I
think
think,
he could be right because I said the steps look different at the beginning. They look closer.
or is the wing size longer on the pigeon and therefore Mother Nature gave him an extra flight? Is the wing longer? Does he have a longer wing, a longer arm than a 10 flighter? And we should measure that out one day if we get a chance.
Well, what I might do is I might get a photo of a bird with 10 and a bird with an 11, and then we'll look at it. Brian Mansker says, Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year, Brian. Tom DiMartino, all the way from Long Island, Florida, says, I have several 11 flighters over the years. Didn't seem to be an advantage or a disadvantage. Take more than an extra flight to win a race. Well, we know that. We're just trying to figure out, is it good? Is it bad? Is it nonsense? Or is it just what we're doing here and talking, um, just talking, right? I mean, because it is an
Yeah.
interesting point. Look at all the different opinions we have of this. We got JD Teal saying he's not having it. We got Alma Canuck saying makes the wing bigger this way, that way. Tom is saying it doesn't matter. So I don't know.
Hey, listen to this one. Once in my lifetime, I raised a young one with webbed feet. That happened to me once in my life. I couldn't believe it. Webbed feet.
One time I raised a young pigeon, and it had I think on one wing 18 flights, and the flights were stacking up. It was like something like the bird had a total of like, I don't know,
You mean they
eight,
double
18,
stacked?
18 flights on each wing. Like it went to 10, and then they started stacking on each other after 10. And they kept
Oh yeah.
stacking, and they had a stack like that. That was
That's like
weird.
some people have a double set of teeth.
Yeah, I had
You
those.
know,
That's right.
they say, well, I gotta go in and get all these teeth up on top here. I gotta get them all pulled out because they're giving them trouble or whatever. Like, I mean, that's a rare thing, right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Mike Vandriak says, would a dropper do better with 11 flights? No, Mike, a dropper wouldn't do any better. Um, Tom DiMartino says, I have several over the years, don't seem to make a difference. Takes more. Okay, I already read that comment. Sorry about that. Oops. What does Alfred's opinion on this 11 flights? Well, we don't know where Alfred is. It is the holiday, so he might not be on tonight, but that's a good question for Alfred. I haven't seen it in a lot of lofts. It's something that you just don't see a lot of. And I don't think there's a big difference. Mike Green says, think the distance have more stamina for longer races. Well, I think they do. Sure, they do, because they've been bred on stamina. They can hold the start pace longer than a middle distance pigeon or a sprint pigeon. I'm thinking this as well. I think they're like your long distance runners, right? Look at a long distance runner. Man, they can run. And they do it. Have you ever watched the long distance runners in the Olympics? They make the running look so simple. But anyways,
I
B,
have a question for you.
go ahead.
In Europe, do they have pigeon shows at in the winter months like we have here in North America? Do they do that in Europe? And if they don't, why don't they? Me
They had it.
myself
They had it at the.
myself.
They do the Olympiad thing. That's what
When
I
is
know.
that? When is
Well,
that?
that's every. What is that? Every 2 years. Every 2 years, the Olympiad birds, the birds that win the Olympiad, to win it, they have to go to the
Right.
Olympiad to be put on
But
display. But
but
I haven't seen a pigeon show yet for racing pigeon guys.
that's what I'm saying. It's in other words, my name's Richard Zonigan. I think I got a really nice looking pigeon, and a club. Let's have the little club show where we meet at a hall and we bring our pigeons in and we show them. And we have one guy there who he's thinking he's going to judge them. But they don't do that in Europe. I don't believe I've never heard of that in Europe. And me personally is maybe I'm going to stir a little doo doo, but I think it's not good for the birds to go to shows at this time of the year. You're taking them out of this cold environment, then you're putting them into a showroom where you might have 50 people in there and the room's 80 degrees heat and your pigeons are in there sweltering in this heat because you're taking them from cold in. And then when you're finished, you take them and you put them back out into that severe cold. It's almost like a torture thing. It's the way I look at it is it's not for the pigeon. It's a sociable thing for the pigeon keeper, not to show the pigeons and put them through that torture. I don't think it's good. I don't know if anybody else has opinions of that.
All right, let me get to the comments here. Okay, so be someone said a meal Denny's, something about a meal Denny's. I think if they're born with it, it's a benefit for them. So Milton thinks it could be a benefit if they're born with them. B. Someone said, okay, so this guy B says Emil Denny's, and B, Emil Denny's, 298 miles sent as a young bird, and yearlings go to 548 miles from Narbonne. Okay, This might be Emil Denny's, guys. If this is Emil Denny, say hi, Emil. I don't know. Maybe Emil's on. Mike Green says, I've had Van Loon pigeons that had feathered feet and flew very well and turned out to be very good breeders. So feathers don't bother him. Josh Tribley says, I wonder, for conversation's sake, if there were 9 flight pigeons. Now, it's funny, when you have a pigeon that's thrown its 10th flight and he's only got 9, and you open up the wing, you instantly say, where the hell where's the feathers? Do you not notice that, Ricky?
Yeah, I've never seen one with 9 flights.
No, no, but I'm saying when they drop when they've dropped their 10th
Yeah,
and you don't
yeah,
see you open that wing. You're racing
yeah,
at the end of the season or something. And oh shit, he's
yeah.
on the flight. The wing looks horrible. It doesn't
That's
look
right.
like it doesn't look like it fits right.
It looks short, a little bit short.
So yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
if anyone's ever bred a pigeon with 9 flights. We've heard 11 flights. Has anyone ever bred one with just 9? Jeff Henderson from Australia says the quality of Monarch's pigeons is 110%. The shape, the size, the feather, outstanding. Will improve any loft. Guys, this man was on the tour, okay? He handled the pigeons and he had to sit down because they were everything that he is saying, they're 100%. There's something to see. Dave Crozier's in the house. My son, Dan, and I were gifted a hen a few years back, and she was 11 flights, both sides, and we never darkened. We won champion young bird in the combine against the darkened birds. Every week she went, she had 10 flies and she 10 weeks, so she was perfect. So there, Dave Crozier had one with 11 flights, flew the skies out. This person named B, I don't know who B is, 10 flights or 11 flights. I will take one best on the result sheet. Yes, that is correct. Aaron says, hello. Hello from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Josh Chibley says, 1.5 tree frog. Okay. B says, LOL, Mike Vanderyak. Oh, is this Mike Vanderyak? B is Mike Vanderyak. Uh-oh. Oh, Van Zoren says it's all bullshit. 10 flights, 11 flights, or 12 flights. It does not matter to Mike or to Van Zoren. Tom DiMartino. Ricky, see, hey, when the crowd plays, we don't say much. We just do the reading and the listening. But this is good conversation, guys.
But
We
hey,
enjoyed it.
listen to me, Ryan. We've had this show now 5 years, and since this time we started, you had a grade 2 level of reading, and now you're up to a grade 5.
I'm getting better. Let me keep reading. Tom's got a long one here. For me, frills, caps, feathered feet, and non aerodynamic features hinder performance. I select away from those features, which are brought
I
out when genetics are too tight. Okay. So
so what?
Tom, he's against feathers on the feet. Tom's against frills. And Tom, because he's aerodynamic, we're gonna call Tom aerodynamic Tom. If he gets a crest on the top, it's out. Anyway,
Well,
but
you know what?
what?
He's got a good point there because the when the bird's flying, the air going over that bird's head, if it's holding up with a crest on the back of its head, you'd think it's going to slow it down. Same as a frill on the chest. Those feathers are constantly kind of holding back. Now, feathers on the feet, I thought it feet are tucked up. I don't know if that's going to bother, and I don't really think we get too many that are real feathered feet like a satinette might be. But the bird that I raised with the webbed feet, he could land in the lake and still make it home.
Swim like a duck. Real good in pigeon water
That's
racing. All right,
that's right.
David Tracy has a question. I wonder it would make a difference for an 11 flight pigeon losing its last flight if that would be a problem.
I always seen 11 flight pigeon was a, a bit larger than a pigeon with 10 flights. It
Nope,
was a larger pigeon.
nope, not these ones. Nope, nope, nope.
Okay, what about no? I just say what from what I noticed here. Now, ask the question. Um, a long distance runner, is his feet usually larger than a short distance runner?
Uh,
Did you ever?
I think they would be a bit smaller. I don't know.
What
You know
the
what?
long distance?
No.
The long distance guy? The long distance.
Ah,
I think the long distance guy's feet would be larger than a short distance guy because the
that'd
feet
be
are
interesting.
just
That would be interesting. That would be really interesting, and you could look at the Olympic stuff for that. Might get on that. Check that out. What
okay.
size is Benja?
What about swimmers? These
Okay,
women,
hold
they
on.
got
Let me get to
swimming
the.
now. Are they got big
Let me
feet
get.
or small feet?
Let me get to the comments. Let me get to the comments. I don't ever recall seeing a pigeon that only had 9 flights. Balance and So Tom says balance and uniformity are important in the wing, especially for ventilation on the upswing. B says, and I don't know who B is. Sorry, I am not Emil Denny's, just a student. Ryan's interviews with Emil Denny's. Hey, thanks, B. I didn't think you were Emil Denny's because normally Emil would put it, but you listened well, so that's good. Ask how many super good ones, good 11 pinners are there? I don't know how many good 11 pinners are there. Yeah, you don't see them. That's from Alfred. Alfred says, I have never seen an Olympic pigeon that or national winner with 11 feathers. Okay. Alfred hasn't seen it. Dave Crozier says, Tom, a crest may work like a spoiler. Oh, Dave Crozier with the comment of the night. He's taking Tom and he's turning Tom's mind upside down, saying that a crested racebird technically has a spoiler. Now, do you think that spoiler would be better
So
for the tailwind or better for trapping? How do you think that works?
better for a headwind because it would help keep the bird's head in a down position.
Right.
That's why they put those
And on a tailwind, it's blowing still. It's like the final
push it
sail
pushing.
pushing.
But we had
Uh,
the fella in the club one time. His name was Volker Vale. He's passed away now. I don't know how many years, 10 or 15, 20 years. But he said,
oh,
and he was a top-notch flyer. He said if you pull a pigeon's tail feathers out, he will fly faster coming home than a pigeon with a full tail because he uses it for balance. And if he has no tail, he has to fly faster to keep himself in the air.
oh, I
So
have to, Ricky.
I think what we should do then is have a category when we're flying
Wait,
pigeons is that certain group will be in a tailless
all right, Ricky.
section.
I'm gonna have to stop you on this one. Mike Vanderyak really wanted to test my reading tonight, so he copied some shit out of a book, and it's got words that I can't even read. But long distance runners' foot size doesn't necessarily calculate with their performance. So then there's a whole bunch of stuff, and runners focus more like
Okay,
okay. So I'm thinking,
what about swimmers? If swimmers have larger feet, would they not be able to swim
I don't
harder,
know.
better than people with small feet?
I don't know. I'm not going to go into this. I don't really care either way. We're talking about one silly feather.
Yeah, I know.
Can it be a national winner or not? I don't know. But okay, we have to say something. Yes, Alfred may have not ever seen a pigeon with 11 flights that has done it, but I'm sure they're there. They have to be there. It has to be there. There's going to be an exception to every rule. Now, I mean, you just take a look at Dave Crozier. Dave Crozier didn't have an Olympiad pigeon, but his best pigeon in his loft was an 11 flight pigeon. And it was champion bird in the
No, I
combine.
think I think he said it was the best in the combine. It did a lot of good
Champion bird in the
stuff.
combine.
Yeah,
David Tracy
but
says that. Yes, Ricky, go ahead.
how many 10 flight pigeons are garbage, garbage, garbage? So how many 11 flight pigeons got to be the same? They're garbage as well.
But here's
It's
the
a, you
question:
know,
how many 11 flight pigeons do you see? You don't see. Every pigeon's got 10 flights, but how many of them have 11?
you
I
don't
mean, you,
see
you
them,
take a
not
look
too
at
many.
J.D. Teal said it. His father's had pigeons 50 years, and he had pigeons 38 years. Think about how many pigeons those two people bred. They never bred
A
one with
lot.
11 flights. That's just two people. They bred hundreds of pigeons. They never had one. So I'm saying maybe the 11 flighters, maybe, hey, there's something to it. I don't know. I don't know. Again, she said that the father of Jansen, this is one thing he looked for. Now, was this a myth? Was this a story? Was this a legend, like a unicorn? Maybe. I don't know. But hey, it's nice to have these conversations, these in-depth conversations. That's why you guys are here on the Monday Night Family Show, where we talk about this kind of fun-filled shit. Let me get to the what Alfred says. 99% is shit. Yes, and that's right. 99% of the pigeons are shitty. Not shitty, but they're not the 1% that we're looking for.
They're average, average,
Oh boy.
and
Well, hold
below.
on. How about the Canada becoming part of the AU Pigeon Union? Well, I don't know. I'm not. I'm not a big fan of the AU. I think they listen to the CU, and I'm not getting into that tonight. You know what? In my opinion, they're all run bad. Moving on from that one. Tom D. Martino says the cream comes to the top. Any features that enhance performance would be carried by most champions. That's why so many. And then Van Zoren says that's why so many grow. Okay, that's why so many grow. Oh, having my cup of
Here's
coffee or tea.
here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think it's important to band your youngsters when they're, let's say, 5 to 7 days old, opposed to, and I've done it myself, you forget, and the things are 12, 14 days old, and you're almost pulling their toes off to try and get the band on. I think that's not good for the youngster. What do you folks think?
You know what? I'm going to tell you. I think that is one of the number one screw ups pigeon guys make. They band them and they hurt the feet on the youngsters. They don't get there in time. I think you're better to put them on a little too small, and you go back the next day and just make sure. Because if it comes off, it's right in the nest bowl. But I think
Yeah,
banding them at the proper age is very important. I mean,
I think so
it's
because
no good when you mutilate them.
when you take a pigeon and half pull his toes off trying to get that band, got his fourth toe there, and you're going to stick a feather through to try and pull it through, or you push it to the side to try and get it through, and the poor thing craps in your hand or it pukes all over your shirt because you're putting it through this torture. And I'm just saying, uh, I got to be more regimental
Well,
and say that's got to get done at 5 or 6 days. Has to get done, and I
and
think it affects their mind. Affects their has to affect their mind when they go through that torture.
I had a thought. We say, "Oh, what are good things to use if the band if it's tight? You can use soap, or you can use Vaseline. You can use all these little tricks." Well, really, really, be focused. It's an important time. Focus, get the bands on at the right time, and you don't need to do any of it. And it's so easy. The baby doesn't even know what goes on. I think that's a big thing. Gerber says, I used I used colorful pipe cleaners from Dollarama on the nest boxes that the babies needed banding, so I didn't miss any. Well, there you go. Yeah, see, he put a colored, the little pipe cleaner. You know what a pipe cleaner is. I guess he just twisted it on when they had eggs, and that. Then he would always know which pairs are down and which pairs he's going to do.
And that's right. And that way you don't forget because easy enough. Say, okay, I got everybody done in this section. That's good. Oh yeah. But then you forgot that pair down in the corner or the pair up on top. You forgot. You just happen to forget it. And then all of a sudden you look and you go, oh, the young one's almost feathered out. You're going, oh, darn. I gotta have these two banded.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
Josh Tribley says, Dawn dish soap works wonders. Again, guys, those are all good little tips. Dawn dish soap, the feather, Vaseline, baby oils, all that stuff works. Try and be ahead of the curve. It saves a little bit of stress on those pigeons. Tom DiMartino says, my family of birds need to be banded 5 to 7 days. They are large, uh, footed birds. They grow fast. Other strains seem to be able to be banded later. Sometimes I find too, and it's weird. You can miss them at the 7 days. You can miss them, and then they're too big at like the 9 or 10 day, and then at the 13 day, it seems like the foot grows and they get skinnier again, and then it goes on. I've
Yeah. And
seen
you know
there's
what
there's
I
a
find
second time.
some birds, some families, the distance between the elbow and the wrist part where the foot is,
Mm-hmm.
and you got the fourth toe is a lot shorter than some other birds. Some other birds, this part of the leg is longer. So when you go to put the band that fourth toe through, it's almost hitting the elbow of this
Mm-hmm.
joint, and it's harder to get the band on. Some
Yeah, that's
families
true.
are like that.
That's right. Um, Combination Van Zorn says shaving foam works the best. And Dave Crozier says when he won, he was sponsored by one of his favorite things that he likes to use when banding, KY Jelly. It's a favorite for Dave Crozier. Congratulations on that one, Mr. Crozier. Gerber says, I have a family of birds that have big legs. By the third and fourth year, I need to cut the bands off because they're too tight. Uh,
Yeah, I
wow.
believe it. I think
I've seen the odd one. And sometimes, too, guys, if you don't give your stock birds a bath, and I see some people, the bands sometimes they get skin or a buildup of dust in the rings, and the
yeah,
band don't turn, and then the leg swells up. Every once in a while, go take a look at your stock birds. Even, hey, when you're grabbing a stock bird, move his ring around. Just a little bit of movement around is good.
I find if you put Epsom salts in your bath water,
Hmm.
that will help keep that problem down for you. Like the salt water helps clean and move stuff around.
Yeah, and I say to people, yeah, you can buy the pigeon bath salts, great, yippity yo ki. You can go to Walmart or these stores. You can buy Epsom salts. Make the
Yeah,
water salty. Make the water like you're salting pasta water, like ocean water. You can use regular salt. Just make it salty. Okay?
that
And if the bird
help
has a
clean.
drink, if the bird has a drink, it cleans him out a little bit too. Doesn't hurt him. Doesn't hurt him.
That's right.
But anyways, you know what? Again, some good tips. This is being a real good show tonight. I did want to talk a little bit about the one-loft race and what my thoughts were. Again, we had talked about doing a 15-day, 100-mile race per day. And you people had heard about this. We were talking, or I think we just started talking about it, and I think that the feedback was good on it. I want to know what you people thought. If you guys had any other thoughts on it, that would mean we're only going to play them 15 times in a row, 15 days in a row, 100 miles. So the
And they
first
would
half,
get trained out to what, 50 miles.
yeah, they're going to get trained they're going to get trained the same amount right out to 50, 60 miles, and that's it. Then they start the program. And I had
And the rate,
someone say, well, what would be the entry fee or the activation fee? And I thought, let's say a team of 6 pigeons. This is what my thought was. A team of 6 pigeons for $1,500. 500 automatically goes to the prize pot.
right?
The 1,000 stays for the loft manager for running it. And when training starts, a week before the first training tosses, all the activation gets paid in. And this is where you go, well, what should activation be? Should it be 150? Should it be 250? Should it be 100? Should it be 200? What should the activation be per pigeon? And activation gets paid before the pigeons go down the road. This is sort of something I was thinking. Now, we'll see what you guys think on this.
So 15 days, 100 miles, but day after day, right? 15 days in a row. If it's raining that day, then what? They get held till the next day?
They'll be at the point because that's where they're going to be. I mean, it's not going to rain all day. If it rains all day, it'll get canceled, but they'll be up there because they can go at 8 in the morning, 9 o'clock, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They'll know what to do. I mean, that's my thought.
right.
David Tracy says, I have a club member that's going to fly your OLR this year. Okay, well, that's very nice. It'd be nice if we get some whole clubs, everybody in the club maybe to put some birds in. Um, Dave Crozier says, the best bath water is rainwater, makes the feathers smooth. Yeah, rainwater is good. I wonder if it is the best. I don't know. I don't know if that's a what is it, a fish, a wives' tale? I don't know. But that was kind of what my thought was on that. I was thinking a little bit. I was thinking people said, well, let's get all the money in up front. Okay. I think we should, I think it'd be nice to get some of that prize money up front. And then when the pigeons start training, that's when the prize money has to be in.
So the prize money would be the $500, right?
Yeah, that would be so. Let's say the ace pigeon, and it would pay out on ace pigeons. So the ace pigeon would win that pot right there. So let's say we had 50 guys that came in. That means the first ace pigeon would win 25,000, and the rest of the prize money that was made up will go to the other prizes.
So what's the rest of the prize money? You're talking
Well,
activation money?
yeah. So let's say you got 200 birds. You're going to start training. Okay, and you make the activation $200 a bird. There's another $40,000 roughly that's going to go into prize money. Do you get what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
And I think that would be a lot. I think this would be very, very fun. Van Zoren says, and he's being very nice, wishing everyone a happy holiday. He's on vacation and he wants to wish everyone a good and happy new year and a good sport and enjoy the pigeons. There you go, Alfred. Be safe on your vacation. Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2025, which is a couple days away. So, yeah, I don't know. That was my thought. That was kind of what I was thinking. Now, I wonder if we'll get people that would participate in this.
I think at first, the first half of it will be very will be good. But I think when you get into the second half, the last 7 days, then you'll start to see the tiredness coming in.
Yeah, I think it'll. I think it would be. Yeah, I think it would be super. I think it would be super. I think it'll be super interesting. I think it'll be something where the people who do participate in it, if they're real hardcore pigeon flyers, by the end of it, we're all going to learn something.
See, most commonly in the one loft races, they do mostly about 600 miles, right? They have a 100-mile race, 200-mile race, and then a 300-mile race, 310, 320-mile race, right?
Yep.
That's about 600 miles
Mm-hmm.
total, but they'll skip a week maybe, right? So if you took them 15 times 100 miles, that's like quite a bit. I'm thinking maybe 10 times 100 miles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. And again, people have asked, "Well, you should get your stuff out. You should get your stuff out. You should get your stuff out." Yeah, I'm just taking the time. We're just thinking, is 15 times too much? I don't think it is. I think you'll see something happen after about the 10th. I think they'll stay very strong, and then all of a sudden you'll start to see the difference. Once you get to those last three or four, uh, Mike Green says sprint birds will do good at first, but then they'll fall off. And this is an interesting thing because this is a sprint. All people would say this should be just for sprint pigeons, but I think what Mike Green's saying is you could be right. This could take a middle distance pigeon to do this, or even a long distance pigeon. We just don't know. But this
Well,
is what makes it interesting. I mean, everyone
there's
does the 300 miles, all 300 miles, 300 miles, 300 miles, 300 miles, blah, blah, blah. I know. How many of them really take them to 300? How many of them really give you 300 miles and not 300 miles flying 21,000 meters a minute? That's not 300 miles.
no, that's right. They wait for a blow home, stuff like that. Um, but the 100 miles every day, and some days you might have the first 4 days are all blowhomes. The next 3 days could be headwinds. Then the next 2 days would be very little wind, but it'll be 95 degrees, or what do you call it? 30 degrees Celsius. Be very hot, right? Like there'll be so many variables in 15 days, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Josh Tribley says, what happens if you have a 100-mile race and it takes all day for the birds to get home? This is another thing you have to think. Um, Geez, this is what you think
Yeah, if
of
it
when you.
takes, he's right. If it takes all day,
I mean,
and it could,
yeah, it could, but I mean, I'm saying,
you get it.
what,
Headwind, extreme heat.
yeah, I just think you're gonna get them, and it's that's sort of what
Again,
your knockout is, isn't it? Isn't that what your not sort of your knockout is? The easy
I
part is the 100 miles.
remember,
I know, Dad. You remember the birds got let up and they hit pouring rain. They didn't
but
come home till the next
what
day.
happens if you don't get it?
Well, if you don't get a day bird, the race stays open until the next day, and then they go the day after that again.
That's right.
Uh,
That's right.
Mike
And
Vaniak says,
I
Mike
think Josh
Vaniak
said, if, yeah,
Mike Vaniak said, we'll use the same race point all 15 times. Yes, it'll be the same spot. Dave Crozier says the cream will rise to the top. I think when you're doing it in I'm gonna say September, you're gonna have most of the time good weather, and the great thing is about 100 miles. There's always half the day where it's good weather to come home. I mean, it could be headwinds or it could be crosswinds or east winds or drizzle in the morning, but I think as long as the birds are up no later than 4 o'clock, you're good. And I'm not saying you get to the release point at
you're
four
good,
o'clock.
100%. I know Jim Groves there.
Go ahead.
No, you wait till it's clear. Um, and at that,
Nope, I think your phone might have cut out, Ricky. We will wait and see. Is this a my phone problem or a Ricky phone problem? I think it's a Ricky phone problem. Someone's calling him on his phone because I can still see. So we'll see if he reconnects on. I like Jeff Henderson says, I like the idea. My thoughts are early liberations to allow time to fuel them before the next race. Just because it's 100 miles doesn't mean they don't need feeling, especially after the first five. Yes, yes, yes. You think sprint birds would do well for the first five or six, then fall off, maybe, Josh? As we're going to have to wait for Ricky to come back. We will wait for him. Somebody called him on his phone and screwed up the broadcast, but that happens. Yeah, interesting. I don't think it matters. It's not that it doesn't matter what time they're up. You obviously want to get them up every morning if you can by, 8 or 7, 8, 9 in the morning. Get them up, get them home. Okay, good. If you have a day where the birds have to go up later because of weather, that's just part of that race. That's the trick to the race. And
hello?
Ricky is back. Hey, Ricky.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of variables there in 100 miles. It can be real nice, or it could be real headwind and heat, heavy heat, or whatever. There's so many situations that can happen. I mean, it's the same thing as if you're taking a bird 500 miles. The weather can change every 150 miles. Weather patterns, right?
Right. And I think as long as the birds are trained good, fairly up to the spot, and they're fresh, I think it'll be a very fun race. Again, people have to be a little understanding, right? That hey, they might not go up at 8, they might go up at 10 one day, 8 the next day, 11 the next day, 7 the next day. One day they might go up at 1 o'clock because of overcast or bad rain. I don't know. And it won't. This race wouldn't be for everyone. I don't think everyone could handle this. I think crybabies will cut it down. Oh, it's 100 miles, blah blah blah. You'll hear it all. But I will say something. I'm getting kind of bored of the one loft layouts. To me, they're like I look at Texas. I know people say, "Oh, the races in Texas, they're so great." No, to me, they're not. They're just they're not even. They're not 300-mile races even. I don't know. I'm not knocking, but I'm just saying let's spice it up a bit.
Well, why
What's
don't
wrong
they turn the
with
race
changing it?
around and
Yeah.
turn the race
Could
turn
you
turn it around the other? Yeah.
could you imagine those races in Texas that they're flying those crazy speeds? Why don't you guys turn it the other way and make them fly the opposite way? You want to know why they won't do that? Because then they show as a pigeon man if they can get the damn pigeon to play. Then you see them fall off. See, you never judge yourself as a pigeon man if you're winning in tailwinds. You don't judge yourself then. You judge yourself on the pigeons and yourself when the wind goes into your face. That's when you start to judge. And I'm not here to rip on the one loft races. I'm here to say I would really like to see some formats people get a little bit more creative.
That's right.
But
You'll really see it if you turn it around. Like the East Coast pigeons or West Coast pigeons are a lot tougher birds than what we got on this North course.
I've already said I've said it 25 times. You got the guy in Niagara Falls that runs a pretend race. Sorry, it'll offend him. Pretend race. You got Oscar DeVries that's going to run a real pretend race. His wife will probably win it. You got Big Andy and his daughters running a race. And then there's us. And I could say it again, time and time again. Hey, do you guys all want to fly together? And we'll all fly against each other in a one-loft race series? Watch, you could put it out there. But those guys, they'll all figure out a way to, no, no, we don't want to do that. No, we don't want to do that. Why not? Why not? Why don't you want to do it? Isn't that called pigeon racing? And the number one answer will be they don't give you an answer because they don't want you to know the little dirty secret. I know the secret. You all know the secret, but we won't say it. But you think about what that little secret is. Ricky, Mike Vandriak said, and I will read it for you all. Wild pigeons, also known as feral pigeons, very professional, Michael, very professional, fucking, typically fly anywhere from 10 to 50 miles, in brackets, 16 to 80 kilometers daily, searching for food. However, this can be this can vary based on availability of food sources, environment, and conditions. Well, Mike, your pigeons will have no problem doing this. This will be the easiest thing for Mike Vanderyak pigeons because good old feral pigeons can do 80 kilometers a day.
I believe, I don't know if they do 80, but I will say they'll do probably 50 anyways. Depends on how far they got to fly to that field, right?
Well, oh yeah, everything I guess depends. You know what? I would say I know they did. We watched that one time. We watched a documentary on the koi wolves in Ontario in Toronto, and they showed these koi wolves would walk like 40 miles a day on their path through the city, and it would be
Yeah.
so interesting if someone hooked up like a band, yeah, on the barn pigeons or the city wild pigeons and the barn wild pigeons and track their daily flight, right?
Yeah. I believe that the city pigeons will fly out that 20 uh, kilometers to 50 kilometers, but I don't believe a barn plug like farm pigeon will fly that far. I don't believe it. But I used to work in the city years ago, and we'd have to sit and wait till 7 o'clock before we could go on a job. And I remember lots of sit there and watch. Oh, you'd see a couple hundred pigeons heading north out of the city of Toronto, and heading north is up to the fields, and they would head up to get their feed. And you'd see the let me see, it'd be the cockbirds at that time, early time in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, heading up. And then you'd see around 9, 10 o'clock, you'd see all these pigeons coming back to the city. And I believe those were the cocks and probably young pigeons that were flying with them would come back to switch the hen off the nest. And then the hens would head north and come back then again around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon back to the nest. I believe the city pigeons will, a lot of them will do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know about a farm pigeon. I don't know if a farm pigeon would do that. He
Yeah,
hangs around the farm.
he hangs around the farm. He just goes digs in the cow shit. Gerber
That's
says,
right.
"Oh, Mike Henryak says 365 days a year these pigeons have to do this." Well, Michael, of course, they live in the wild. Michael, they don't have you nor me to just sprinkle the little bit of grain for them.
Three, Mike's right. 365 days a year, and I'm telling you, you see them. It can be God minus 20 degrees with a headwind to make it feel like minus 40. And those things are caught in that wind, north wind just beating through there. They're heading up here to the railway yards where the spillage comes off the grain cars. They're like iron, those things.
Uh,
Eh?
yeah, Gerber says, "How big of a loft do you need to house 1,000 pigeons in a one loft race setting? Wonder if OLRs take more birds than are capable of holding." Um, I think in one loft races, I think a lot of the lofts they're okay built. The size of them aren't bad. I mean, I was at Pattaya. Pattaya has 11,000 pigeons in their loft. Their loft I never seen a loft that big. And I haven't been to China, but I went to Pattaya. In China, they make Pattaya's loft look small. Now, Pattaya's down to 6,000 pigeons. They took 11,000 pigeons in. The problem isn't the size of the loft. You can put a nice wire floor. You can put everything wire. Everything stays clean. You can make it so the air's good. Yes, you can do that. But what everyone forgets is the key thing. Go out and look in the big cities. Look, and you tell me when you see more than 500 pigeons, 200 pigeons, 300 pigeons, 1,000 pigeons, 4,000 pigeons flying together at once, you don't see it. Now,
You don't
when you
see it.
put all these pigeons together, it acts like a heavy bag of flour. They just want to sit on the roof. They got birds from all over, lazy birds, and then yes, they give them lots of drugs. In those countries there, in Pattaya and China, and I'm using this, I know this, they can give them whatever they want to give them. They can give them the magic Batril concoction to clean them right out, and it finishes the livers pretty much on them, but the birds stay living. But this is why these races go from 11,000 down to 6,000. Pigeons don't fly right. The best one loft races, if the community of one loft racing was smart, they would up the prices of the pigeons, making a single entry pigeon $2,000 a piece. And you'd all say, "Well, I can't afford that." Well, no, because people want big numbers. Big numbers. A one loft race that takes between 250 and 500 pigeons. You know what? It's capable for a man to operate, to get out there and get them to fly properly. to train them
I'll
properly,
tell
to
you. I'll
bash
tell
at
you
them properly.
something. Last year we had how many birds in our one loft? It was at 140 birds or something
Yeah, something like
initially.
that. Yeah.
And I'll tell you something. It was great because I come out here in the morning and I'd open them up, and we had birds in here from the 1st of April. I'd open them up, and then I'd sit here out in the back there, have a coffee in the morning, and I'd watch them, and they would take off once they started, loft flying pretty good. They'd take off like there'd be 30 of them would just take off the roof. I never flagged them or anything. I just let them be. And there'd be 30 of them go off the roof, and they'd take off and they'd head west of here. And then, 10 or 15 minutes later, there'd be another 20 of them would take off. And they'd do that on their own and exercise real well. But I know when you take in, if you got 300 birds, sometimes you'll get at least 50 couch potatoes up there, and they figure, why the heck should we go why should we loft fly? I don't know what happens. They get lazy.
And that's the thing that a lot of people they're getting blown away by these big numbers. These big numbers. It's hard to get big numbers going properly. Anyways, Alvin says Ricky will like this one. My club just changed the race course from southwest to south. One older flyer says he can't win flying that direction, so they all then cry babies went along with him. Well, that's good, Alvin. You can kick their ass flying south. I'm sure you'll do it, and then he'll have to go north. He'll do better going north. Mike Vanderyak says, if you're interested, the scientific study, the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, the RSPB, and the journalists often publish research on avian behaviors, including uh, pigeons, blah, blah, blah. All right. Uh, Mike says, to hold 1,000 pigeons, you need 200 feet by 8 feet wide. Okay. That's what
I
Mike
believe
thinks.
that.
Uh,
And how tall? How tall? Eight,
I don't
6 feet tall, 7 feet
Yeah,
tall.
yeah, I don't know. My old birds fly. Mike Green says my old birds fly freely all winter long. I only close them up twice all winter, but I don't have hawk problems where I am. Okay. Mike Green also says I like flying the smaller OLR birds, get better trained, and aren't just numbers. And you know what? I think this is another thing. You know, I want I want you guys to think about it. When you go, say, to a very high-end restaurant that has 6 tables, very high, and the bill is super expensive, and the food quality is a 10, you feel great. Whoa, that is bang, that's good. You can go to a small mom and pop's place with 6 tables, and they need your business, and that quality is bang, boom. But then you can go to P.F. Chang's. You can go to the Mandarin. You can go to a big chain restaurant, Red Lobster, right? Big, in and out fast, in and out fast. It's all about numbers, as Mike Green just said. Food quality is shit. And I'm going to tell you something. Why isn't there one of these big American races that says, F it? We want to take 100 pigeons. We're paying out $1 million. We only want the big players. We want the people that have the large cherries between their legs. That's what I
Well,
want to see a pigeon man take those pigeons and play with them and not give me some bullshit course, bullshit training, bullshit tailwinds, and 3 races, 4 races. You know what? Take the young birds and pound them 20 weeks. I want to see a man do it with low number pigeons and do it good. I'm just saying. I'm throwing that out there to somebody with the big nuts. Hold on. Mike says, I agree completely with Ryan that huge flocks, unnatural causes the problems. Yes, it causes the problems. It causes the problems. I mean, you feel it when you go to a concert. If you're not used to being around a lot of people, I was in the grocery store today. You know what? There were too many people in the grocery store. I just said, oh, you know what? I'm going to come next time a half hour before it closes. Yeah, maybe some of the produce is picked through. I don't like being here with all these people. I don't like it. I don't like being stuffed on an airplane. I don't like it. So I can imagine how a pigeon thinks. And you ever notice under those bridges, they're proper. Like you look under a bridge, you never see 1,000 under the bridge.
No, you see
You see what fits for that
tw-
bridge.
tw-
Oh, there could be 5 pair under
20,
that
maybe
bridge.
20 to 50 birds in there.
Yeah, the bridge is a small bridge. Oh, look at there's 6 pair there. The bridge is double the size and 3 lanes wide. Oh, look at there's 30 pair there.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, and
yeah,
and people, when you're driving, take a look at those things. I don't know.
that's right.
Uh, Mike Vaniak says, "What is an optimum number of birds balance revenue with care?" Well, the thing is, we all want. We feed our birds the best, so we give our birds the best this and the best. Well, yeah, I think a one-loft race needs to give the birds the good stuff, sure, good grit, good feed. Be able to handle a problem if there is one, be able to train, be able to show the progress of what's going on, put the right chips on, put the chips on early, do some stuff like that. That all costs money. And I'll tell you something. You go home and buy groceries, the price is high. I think a perch fee for a pigeon is no joke. It should be anywhere from 150 to $200 a bird. Now, is the guy doing that work? If the guy is making it honest and doing his job, I don't have a problem paying the guy the money to do the job. If the guy's not going to do the job and they're just looking for the big numbers, well, that's where the problem comes in. But I think,
Well, let me. Okay,
go ahead.
I was going to say you're talking about pricing, and you're like you say in Europe, if you need some birds to be um, taken care
Yeah,
of for you by a breeder, and say, "Hey, can you take care of 50 birds for me, please? Like, you got an extra section? Yeah, I do have it." And those people there, they think zero, nothing about saying it's €3 per bird per day. €3 per
three,
bird per day.
three euros and 50 cents per day. I've paid it
How,
before.
yeah, how in the world do you come up with that kind of price? And I'd like the Europeans to come on here right now. I mean, Alfred, he's European there. Come on and explain it. He's probably heard of it too. Like, well, probably that is the uh, best care, the
But
best
but
feed,
but
the
think about
best
it.
space.
100 days. 100 days is $300 for that one bird.
No, €300.
Okay, 300 US
That's almost
dollars. Yeah,
four.
that's almost $400 Canadian. It's a $450 Canadian for
Yeah. So I
100
mean, if
days service.
that is the professionalist care, that's their price. And there's not just one person that does it. You could say,
Mhm.
well, hey, you know him? He's a ripoff. This guy's crazy. €3 a day per bird. He's a crazy guy in the head. I can get it over there for €25 per day. Well, you can't get it in Europe. All these people are the same. That's what they charge.
That's
So
right.
they must be given the best care,
And by the way, that's not training.
right?
That's not loft flying. That's holding birds. holding birds.
That's right. Right.
But
Even people there that have money with pigeons, they don't need the money at all. That's what they want. €3. What is it? €3 per 300
I've had
€3 per
I've
day.
had it two times, €3 and 350.
Yeah. With absolutely zero guilt feeling at all.
Well, and Mike Green says this, and maybe Mike, I don't know if Mike Green's right, but Mike Green says, I think European flyers are more serious about their birds. The other thing is you have to think about it. You ask someone, or someone says, I'm going to take on this responsibility to fly these birds. I'm going to take on this responsibility. Guys, you're paying good money to buy pigeons. You're paying good money to send them to races. You're paying good money to gamble on them, right? You're putting your hard earned money. If you're a truck driver, you're a dentist, you're a race car driver, you're paying your hard earned money to have someone train your pigeon, work your pigeon. And then you say, well, his perch fee's too high. Well, if he's a real trainer and he's going to give you his very best, you know what? I think he should be paid accordingly. Because I'll
You
tell
know
you,
what?
it's not a bullshit job, but there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of pressure, and if you guys want real tested pigeons, you have to pay.
I see that situation there at that Big Andy's race, which is true. He had a professional pigeon flyer, uh, supposedly coming to work for him, hired on to work for him, and a lot of people were impressed. The fellow's name was Robert Rohde. We're impressed that this Robert Rohde's going to come and work for Big Andy and do a professional job.
Can we just?
Because hold on a minute, because
I just wanna back up. I don't want to throw. I don't want to disrespect professional pigeon flyers. Okay, I want. I need you to just whoa for a moment. Throwing a word like a professional pigeon man, don't throw that one around. You
I think
have
you
to,
got, hold on a minute.
you have to earn that.
I think I said a lot of people thought a professional pigeon flyer was going to be doing this job. And then, okay, a lot better,
He
a
just
lot.
hired a guy. I think he just hired a guy. I think he just hired a guy that had pigeons. I don't think there's. I don't use. No, we're not using words like professional.
But what I'm saying is, whatever other people thought, oh, it's going to be him. Oh, it's going to be him. Good, good, good. But then the guy backs out for whatever reason was, and the guy, this what's his name, Big Andy guy, has got to get his daughter or and somebody to help him out. They all he did was heard Dad talk about pigeons at the kitchen table. They didn't know it, zero about it. And what do all the people putting their money out for? They should have canceled the damn race.
Yeah, but
They should have
again,
refunded the
but
money.
again, people in the end of it, maybe Mike Green's right. Are the Europeans more serious about pigeon flying? I don't know. Maybe they are. Mike Vanderyak says, I agree that 450 a bird is a reasonable perch fee for 5 months. For 5 months. Now, Mike, reminder, $3. Let's just say simple guys. $3.50 Canadian, American, Belgian. In Belgium here it's 3.50. That's per day per pigeon. So if you have the pigeons for 100 days, that's 3 months. You're at 450. You know what I'm saying? I know. I agree with
Mike's
you.
right.
450. Yeah, we're pretty close. You got to get those birds done. 100, 100 and so many days.
Yeah, but wait a minute though. I mean, per bird. But if you take in 500 birds, like
It's not about taking in 500 birds. What every race does is they build a big shed, big shed. They put as many little nub perches in as they can. They put on some fancy lipstick on the pig, and they tell everybody, "Oh, we're gonna do videos. Oh, we're gonna do this. Oh, I see that you should see the big shithole that Oscar DeVries is building. 100-foot long loft, 150 feet long. Come to the loft of Oscar DeVries. The Dutch touch is gonna do it again. Blah 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 blah. Build a beautiful loft. Still couldn't fly a damn pigeon, but everyone will get look at the big sign, the big payout, the big flashing lights. And you know what they all do? They go like this, meh, meh, and they all go in. And then you hear them all cut it down. Oh, this was shit. Oh, this was shit. Oh, this is no good. They all complain, and then it's a vicious circle again. Because people, they think a big loft is good. Big loft, it's big, it's beautiful. You know what? Let's see if I have a photo here. Let's see if I have this here. Okay. There's a loft. And I'm going to see if I have it here. Here we go. Here's a loft. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you guys this. Hold on one second. Now, this is a referral from John Gladwin. Good friends with John. Hell of a nice guy. One of the best flyers in the UK, in my opinion. Top flyer. Here we go. Let me get the screen up. You take a look, Ricky. John Gladwin bought 40 youngsters for 100,000 euros. 40 youngsters. John Gladwin. Are you ready?
Mm.
Okay. Sound like you're ready. Folks, are you ready? There's the young bird lofts. Oh, take a look at the photo. Go on, guys, take a look.
Wow.
There you go, eh?
Yeah.
A super sprint loft right at the French border. Mark Gilbert was there and bought the ace cock from that loft for 70,000. Now I'm not going to give the name because I have to go there.
Right.
Does that does that look like what does that look like? Does that look like they got automatic box cleaners? Does that look like
It. I'll tell you, it doesn't look near as good as the Twisted Sister.
That's right. That's right. It looks a lot like the Van Laar lofts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just looks like an old Belgian has pigeons in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine that loft right there selling to one man, 40 youngsters for 100,000?
Yeah. Wow.
It's guys,
And
it's not in the
and I'll tell you
lofts.
the I'll tell you the truth, my friend. The man will receive the cash, and he will not put
He's not going to put
change
automatic
the
box.
change.
He's not going to change
He
it because
won't
it works
change
good.
nothing. That's right.
Oh. Anyways, you know what
Yeah.
though? What I love is you will watch the race in Ottawa that Mr. DeVries ran, and I'm sorry I have to say this because he's a real bad cheater, cheaterton. He will build the big loft. And they will all line up for it, and his track record has been horrible flying. His track record on one loft has been horrible. I'll go to it, but hey, that's what it is. That's life.
But he knows how to run a wrecker business.
Yeah, that's right. And then unfortunately, he hired John Stevens and ran John Stevenson into the ground. I felt bad for John. Mike Maniac says May to September is 5 months, 150 days times $3 is okay. Okay, $3. Yeah, it's 550. Four 450. Good job, Mike. You're better. I don't have a calculator, Mike. look like the hood. Well, that doesn't look like the hood. When you see that loft, you have to go in it to see it. Then you'll see. How
He's
come the
Belgium right
bricks
on the
on the
edge of France.
bottom were newer? How come the bricks on the bottom were newer? Well, probably because something was falling over. Uh,
He's probably flying out of milk crates and stuff in there. What it is he knows how to fly pigeons, and pigeons are relaxed in the environment they're in.
yeah, that's right. Mike Green says the big OLRs are playing the lottery. And again, I really think that OLRs, that I just think there needs an evolution. I think OLRs already need to fly against other OLRs. I think OLRs need to fly against combines. I think major change has to be made because it's just all bullshit. And I mean, we're talking about doing 100, 15 times 100 miles in a week. Just because can't can't fly in our combine, can't do this, can't do that, can't do none of this shit. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna try and make something fun, and I think we're gonna learn from it. And isn't that what people want? We can have some good prize money. Sure, we can put that together, and we can learn.
And the combines, they don't want the OLR races to go up with them because they're worried that all the flyers in the combine are all going to say, "Oh, the OLR's got 400 bird drag, and we're going to lose our pigeons, and this is not going to be right. This is not going to be right." Well, uh, those people that say that, I hate to say it, they're a bunch of suck asses.
But
That's it.
unfortunately, what you're going to find is that we found that from time to time again, there's a lot of people that like to fly with the excuse it's the easiest thing to make. We're not going down that road, especially tonight. We've been on for an hour and 43 minutes. I think this show is very, very good. This is our last show, Ricky, of 2024. Another season in the books. I'm starting to get cold now. Uh, But fun show tonight. I think the people participated good. Interesting about the 11 flights, about frills, about pigeons with feathers on the feet, pros and cons. And some people had good results. Some people think it's bullshit. But that's what makes this show so much fun, is that we kind of go
That's
on all
right.
the different roads.
100%.
Mike Peevler says, not the size of the cattle, it's how you build it, what you want out of it. How you build the castle, not the cattle, the castle. I will say, guys, I've been to these lofts, and I've been to some beautiful ones, and I've been to some even deadlier ones. You're gonna see. We're gonna go to the Lambrecht's loft. You're gonna see something. Old lofts that win. You're going to see some of these lofts. They're old lofts, but they win nationals. You got to know what to do with the pigeons. You got to have the right pigeons and know how to play them. The little building, the darker, the cozier, the more comfortable. That's what gets the results. Not the big, beautiful skylight castles. Jeff Henderson says, great show. Thank you, Jeff. And again, thinking about doing a Pigeon Boss tour in the early part of November next year. We're gonna fit. We're starting to do some thinking on it. Jeff Henderson's got some friends from Australia that want to come. I know Stephen and Heather Collins, they want to come. If you guys want to come on our next Pigeon Boss tour, start saving up your money, because I don't know how many of these I am going to do. I know the people from Australia really enjoy themselves, and hey, I think it's fun to do. I'd like to get some American people on the trip. I'd like to get some Canadian people on the trip. Uh, A guy like, I'm not going to mention names, but there's people that watch the show. Guys, I'm telling you, come on the trip. You're going to enjoy it. You really will. Good show tonight. Good night to everyone, says David Tracy. Chris Marshman says 100%. I want to. Guys, we are going to get stuff going. It'll be sometime in the spring that we're going to post our next trip. We're going to think about it. There's White Green says, I think about pigeon flyers, we all have our own ideas. Not one guy is wrong, just different. And that's what we learn. Hey, and you're going to find out maybe the odd person you didn't think thought this way does think that way. And that makes it interesting. Before we wrap up, I want to post up this photo here. Monic Mays is running right now at Feathers Elite Pigeon Auctions. Again, this is the old line Jansen's. I'm going to post up the photos here. Take a look. Take a look at those photos, guys. This is one of the most famous pigeon families on the planet. Still to this day, you go anywhere in the world and talk to pigeon flyers, and you say Jansen, and they know what you're talking about. But there's the brothers there and the sister. Take a look at them. Pigeon men. See? They look just like you or me, just you're probably taller. Hey, Ricky, I think we're going to wrap this one up.
Okay, very good. Happy New Year. It's coming up. And hope for the best next 25 years to come.
Oh, we're going to have to
That's
keep doing
for
this
me.
show. For you, you're going to have to keep going.
That's
Guys,
it.
I might be on tomorrow. I might not, but I want to wish everyone a happy New Year. Be safe. Again, thank you very much for participating on these shows. We will be on again next Monday night. Who knows what we'll be talking about, but we're going to keep going because you guys enjoy it, and I really appreciate the positive talking. People are putting in comments, and that's great. Ricky, I'd love to stay in chat, but I'm going to freeze my bag off here. So I'm going to go. Happy New Year to you guys all. That's Ricky. I'm Ryan.
Have a good.
And we're going to close this one down. Thanks for flying with us, guys. Happy New Year. And we'll see you in 2025. That's next Monday. Like, share, and subscribe.
Happy New Year.
Bye for now.
Bye.